probably one of the biggest Sikh events in the history of Great Britain.
You know, like our vision is the first time in history coming together in one location. Because when you think about any Sikh event that we do, everybody celebrates it in their local area. But we've never ever done something which brings everyone together.
We'll be hosting our first ever Sikh Games in the UK from the 3rd to the 6th of August 2023. We've actually got the whole of University of Birmingham booked for the event.
We've been really assessing really closely what it is that the UK Sikh community actually want. And every single Sikh should feel like they've got a part to play in their Sikh Games because they are their Sikh Games.
The official end date for sign-ups is the 31st of Jan 2023. Anyone over the age of 12 can sign up, either as an individual player or team player or both. Coaches as well for volunteers, and same goes for if someone wants to sponsor the Sikh Games. So there's loads of ways that you can be associated with the Sikh Games. All they have to do is just go on the sikhgames.com website, and on the homepage it's self-explanatory. It's a 2-minute process.
Welcome back to the KultureKast podcast. My guests today are both returning guests to the podcast. They are the founders of the Sikh Games. Welcome, Navjot and Mandeep. How are you both?
Hi. Thank you for having us.
It's all good. It's all good. This podcast episode is going to be slightly different. As you can see, Nav and Mandeep are both in their Sikh Games gear because that will be the topic of this podcast. If you do want to know about Nav and Mandeep a bit more, we both did individual podcasts. Episode 12 was Nav, and episode 29 was Mandeep, and that's more into their sort of life stories and all of their great successes, and one of which is the Sikh Games, which is obviously going to be happening for the first time this year. But I think in a lot of people's minds might be, what is the Sikh Games?
So the Sikh Games are essentially, the concept is actually from Australia. So I had a lot of family that lived out in Australia. I think they moved out there in like the 70s. And they would often talk about the Australian Sikh Games. They've been happening for the last 34 years. They have 150 to 200,000 people in attendance every year. And yeah, it was just something really cool, you know, like everybody from Australia, all the like Sikhs, Punjabis, everybody gets together every year for the Sikh Games, and just felt like that was something we never had here, just something to just bring everyone together through sport.
And Nav, we were just talking just before we started recording that it's obviously we're in 2023 now, and Happy New Year to you both. But eventually, finally, we're getting to the year of the Sikh Games, because it's been quite a few years since the talks of this began between you both.
Yeah, I think we started. I think initially we started talking about the Sikh Games on the 25th of April, if I'm not wrong, back in 2020, the COVID year, and a lot of planning and a lot of work has been put towards the Sikh Games, and I think in the past 2.5 years, our executive board, everyone who's involved with the Sikh Games have put in a lot of effort, and I think it'll be 3 years in April 2023 that when we first started talking about the Sikh Games, leading up to the Sikh Games in August, which will be on from the 3rd to the 6th of August. I think it'll be probably one of the biggest Sikh events in the history of Great Britain.
Definitely, and as you say, it's been in a few other countries so far, which I was surprised to hear about, to be fair, because when I came down to the camp in the summer, which was at St. George's Park, and an unbelievable event then as well, and a great turnout, lots of kids, lots of adults, and lots of great facilities to use, which sort of encapsulates what this is all about, really, isn't it? It's giving the next generation that foundation and the sort of infrastructure to be propelled into the next level. And I think it was Nav, the football scientist Nav, who was saying in his speech that the Jewish community have sort of the Jewish Olympics, where Jews from all over the world can compete against each other. And I think it was yourselves that were saying that it's already in Australia. It was founded there. I think India, Canada, if I'm correct, as well, has it, and then New Zealand, and then the UK. So is the overarching aim, I know obviously the first event is yet to happen, but is the overarching aim for that to be implemented in high Sikh dense population countries, and then eventually have a worldwide Sikh Olympics almost?
Yeah, absolutely. Is actually this Nav
Oh,
that
sorry. Yeah,
introduced us to the concept of Maccabi Games. So
Maccabi
I
Games, that was it.
remember going to Nav and talking to him about the Sikh Games and saying, oh, you know, we should really do something like this for the UK. Nav was obviously involved with the Carlside cricket tournaments, and you know, he'd been cricket coaching. We knew each other for like quite a few years prior to actually having this conversation about the Sikh Games. You know, obviously he was like straight away, he was like, yep, let's do this, let's get involved. And the second thing he literally asked was, have you ever heard of the Maccabi Games? So I'll let Nav talk a bit about the Maccabi Games.
So Maccabi Games, as you know, that Jewish Olympics, the other name of it, it's been happening since 1934. And every country who's got a dense Jewish population have been having their own games. So we've got Maccabi GB, Maccabi Spain, Maccabi USA, and then every 4 years they meet. They all go to Israel to play the Jewish Olympics. And I think I was researching a few years ago, and we had like something about 20 to 24 countries, and they've got 10,000 athletes participating every 4 years, and there's a team from India as well. So I think it's a really big event, and we just need to follow their footsteps. And when me and Mandeep had a conversation about Maccabi Games, we actually reached out to Maccabi Games, and luckily we have got somebody from Maccabi Games sitting on our advising board now.
Oh, wow. So I'm guessing that's just to help with the infrastructures, learning from them.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so sort of taking that inspiration and obviously having the aim of building the foundation here. I think it obviously apologies that I got the NAVs mixed up at the speeches, but I think it would have been yourself then we're saying that the aim is by hopefully 2030.
By 2030, correct.
We want to have an international Sikh Olympics, and hopefully obviously all the countries can sort of get involved then.
The idea is you know, you want to not have just 4 or 5 countries getting involved in the global Sikh Games. You want to try and get as many as possible. So I think our like number out of the year was 15 countries we want to get involved by April 2030, but it gives them time to set up their national games. We're here to help them, because our kind of like the mindset that we really had is it doesn't matter where which country it is, and it's like basically working together to try and help them also set up their national games. So like with some of the Sikh Games, although they've been happening for a while, you know, like they don't have like social media, like Instagram kind of thing going on. With a couple of them, they don't have websites. So thinking, well, why don't we just do everything together? Why don't we kind of see what our learnings are, where we can work together? You know, it doesn't matter if there's, you know, a child that is doing really well in Southampton, for example, and you know, she's winning. The day she wins, every single Sikh around the world wins that day. You know, if you've got a politician that's out in Canada and they're doing well, you know, the day they win, we all win. And if we work with that kind of mindset of actually just wanting to help one another, you know, we all rise together, you know, and anyone that rises acts as an inspiration to the next generation, especially with the world that we live in, where that information and, you know, their life story is so like freely available to everyone. It's just worth everyone coming up together.
100%, and I couldn't agree more. I think you both know from the guests that I've had on the podcast thus far, it has been the essence of the podcast. Really, is like if somebody that looks like you can achieve something great, then what's stopping you? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you do need that role model, because I think a lot of kids going through any sporting curriculum might not see that Sikh sort of athlete at the highest level as of yet, and might get deterred from it. Fortunately, we are getting a lot better in that aspect of having athletes in pretty much every major sport now, at some level, and some of them obviously are coaches in the Sikh Games and ambassadors as well, which we'll touch on shortly. But the first obviously Sikh Games, as we say, is going to be happening in August in 2023, and it's going to be held in Birmingham. So now we were just speaking shortly before the podcast started about where it's going to be taking place, and because it is like a 4-day event, the sort of accommodation and sort of the structure of the event as well.
Yeah, so we'll be hosting our first ever Sikh Games in the UK from the 3rd to the 6th of August, 2023. So like we were speaking before the podcast started, we've actually got the whole of University of Birmingham booked for the event. All the sports will be held at Uni of Birmingham, apart from cricket, which will be we're still looking for a best possible venue, but it won't be that far from Uni of Birmingham. Yeah, I think there's one more thing that I need to touch on. Going back to the Maccabi Games, I think what's going to happen is after our first Sikh Games, a lot of people will get to know about the Sikh Games. And what happens with Maccabi, the Jewish Olympics now, is a lot of superstars, like you got Dick Savitt, the big tennis player, because he's Jewish, he goes and plays in the Maccabi Games. Then you got NBA stars, you've got Denny Shays, and all the big superstars. When they're on a break, they actually go and participate in these games. They don't have to because they're superstars, but they still do that for their countries. So I think we'll have loads of that. We'll have people like Ravi Boparas and all the Indian Punjabi players. They might want to represent their countries and play for India in the first ever Sikh Olympics in 2030. I think that'll be really good for us.
Yeah, global Sikh
100%.
Games, but we'll keep Robbie here for UK.
Yeah.
We know
Well,
I'm playing for India.
I think that is great to hear. To be fair, because it's saying that they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
So you can represent your nation, or you can reach a high level, and the Sikh Games will help you with the connections that it has, and we'll touch upon some of the pathways for that in a second. But it can help you reach the level that you want to, but you can also do both at the same time. So you can come and participate in the Sikh Games whilst being in boxing or cricket or football or whatever that may be. For the 3 or 4 days that we'll be spending in Birmingham, I'm guessing there'll be like a opening ceremony and a closing ceremony, like most things. Have we already thought about the structure of them 4 days?
Yeah, we have. So we've for the opening ceremony, we're still about to firm up the location, but it will be very, very grand. So that would be like the first day. That's when we're looking to register all the athletes, but we're looking to get some like very high profile singers there, and doing some amazing things like showcasing Gatka. There might be a parachute jump, there might be bands, and something really important, I think, that we're looking to do is having the Nishan Sahib. So get our patron to walk in with the Nishan Sahib and doing an ardas, and then opening up the Sikh Games.
And am I correct in thinking that the Sikh national anthem has also
definitely be sung? Yeah. So we put out a post a little while ago, because it's actually really easy to kind of remember the Sikh national anthem. It's only 4 lines, but we're really encouraging all the next generation to learn the Sikh national anthem. Because I think it was recently, isn't it? We were talking about this where we saw the kind of like the World Cup, and a lot of people didn't know their national anthem.
Yeah.
But it'd be really good for like those that have signed up to make sure they learn it.
No, 100%, and again, it's identity of like Sikh Games. So if it is going to be tied to Sikhi, then and we have a national anthem, then we should be singing it.
Absolutely.
When we're talking about sign-ups, I know that it's coming to a close quite soon. When is the official date for end of signing up, and how do people sign up, and who can sign up?
So the official end date for signups is the 31st of Jan 2023, which is the end of this month. Anyone over the age of 12 can sign up, either as an individual player or team player or both. All they have to do is just go on the sikhgames.com website, and on the homepage, it's self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. It's a 2-minute process.
Is there any upper age limit?
12 plus.
12 plus. So no,
it could be 112 as well.
112 as well.
Yeah, we've been going around doing a lot of road shows and actually getting a lot of people involved, and speaking to I guess a lot of like the manjis as well, and saying, look, just wear your suit and come and do walking hockey if you have to. You know, it's so important to do it, particularly I think from a female perspective, to make sure, you know, you're carrying on your sporting journey, and then, you know, inspiring, you know, like people our age who will then inspire, you know, the 4-6-year-old females, and, you know, just so they don't feel like there's an end to your sport, you know, because a lot of people you speak to, they say, oh, when we were at school, you know, this is what we used to play. Hockey here, that's what they say, right? But it's like, why have you not carried it on, you know? And it acts as such a nice thing, because we're hearing so many like stories, like people's stories. You know, we spoke to someone who said, you know, when in India, when they had the first ever women's kabaddi team, she was the captain in Chandigarh. You know, these are the kind of stories that come out when you talk about the Sikh Games, when you go and engage with the community. So it's saying like, right, how can we bring that fire back? How can we remind the community who they are, you know, what our history really is? You know, no day is a bad day to start your sporting journey. And if anything, you know, the patron Podja saying his story reminds us of that every time. So there's definitely no age limit. With the younger kids, you know, there are going to be a lot of sports activities that are going to be happening. So it's going to be very educational, but really a good opportunity for them to try out various sports when they're at the Sikh Games. So, you know, everyone can get involved.
100%. And we'll talk about the sports in terms of team sports and individual sports. So at the moment, it's 4 team sports of kabaddi, hockey, football, and cricket.
Yeah.
I'm not missing any. Okay. And individual is powerlifting, and then we have 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter, 800 meter, and 3K.
Yeah, that's the track.
Perfect. And now, as we were sort of talking about before, you can do up to 2 sports, right? Because you can do 1 individual and 1 team sport if you wish.
That's correct. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll get a bit too much for one person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's most of the sports are quite interchangeable. In terms of running is going to be part of most sports. So if you are or to be fair, kabaddi and powerlifting probably seems like a good combination as well. You know, you want to be hench to take down the other guys.
Yeah.
And we have some amazing sort of backers for most of these sports, as I was saying. So some of the sponsors talking about powerlifting is literally British powerlifting. We've got ECB for cricket, I believe. FA is there for football. And there's other sponsors that I've seen as well, which might be an indication of future sports like England judo and England boxing and squash.
Yeah.
Am I right in guessing that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we call them partners.
Okay.
Our sports partners. So we've got a lot of sports partners. So what we've been doing is, you know, it's the first Sikh Games. We've been really assessing really closely what it is that the UK Sikh community actually want.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a part on the website when you go on there to say you can't find the sport you play. And we've had so many people come back to say, you know, they do boxing. So, you know, we start talking to England boxing. There's so many people that say they play squash, you know, so we started talking to England squash. You know, now we're talking to British wrestling, you know, England netball, you know, the armed forces, so the Army, the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, you know, so there's so many sports partners that have come on board, including Sport England. So yeah, it's
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just been a really you know, positive response that we've had from the, like, you know, not just from the Sikh community, but externally to say, right, okay, how do you find a way to encourage the community to get fit and healthy for them to be part of sport? You know, and it literally is something like the Sikh Games that sometimes that's all it takes to get the community involved in their respective sports as well.
100%. And because I think it is sort of well known, not just in our community, but in other communities can see it as well, like as the nation as a whole, is that South Asians, not just like Sikhs, but South Asians as a whole are sort of underrepresented in most sports. There is actually a push from like governments, for example, to get more Asians in sports. You see it on like Sky News and things quite often, because the few that are in the game are actually doing quite well now and have unfortunately had to take the brunt of being them first individuals in the games that they're in, but obviously now are doing exceptionally well. Boxing's a great example of as you might know, I'm a big fan of boxing, so I've had a lot of boxers on the podcast and sort of like Dylan and Inder who are reaching the heights that they are. I think both of them are quite aware of the impact that they're having, because when you have Inder, who literally is a Singh and like wears a case and goes into the ring and smashes it the way he does, and Dylan, who, you know, won the boxer tournament, had the Nishan Saib there, it has a big impact, and they both have received messages from parents saying, my kid wants to get into boxing now because he looked at you. And I think this is what obviously hopefully will happen from the Sikh Games. And with sports partners like them, it sort of opens up pathways when you are at the younger age, because if there are gifted athletes, for example, a young budding football player who, while the FA representative is there at the Sikh Games, might get, you know, an opportunity that they might not otherwise. And as I say, the infrastructure is absolutely amazing. Birmingham University, St George's Park, it's unbelievable. In terms of support, not from the sports partners, but from internally. So we have a lot of coaches with the Sikh Games who have tailored, from my conversation with Sandeep, have tailored sort of a plan from the sign-ups to July and August, where the sports are going to take place. So what is that sort of plan going to be for each individual athlete?
We've got an app that's been designed by, we call it our A team, which comprises of Nav, the football scientist at Arsenal, Sandeep, who's our strength and conditioning coach, Liam, who's our sprint coach, who are the actual brains behind this app.
And Juggy.
And Juggy.
Our nutrition coach.
Juggy, our nutrition coach. So it's a 12-week program designed for each sport. And it will look at a person, for example, playing football. He will have a program designed for him for 12 weeks to not just participate in the game, but if he follows that program properly and follows the diet properly, he'll be able to smash it in the games.
So all of it's going to be tailored specifically towards the sport that they're choosing to.
Yeah.
Right.
And
but
the way that they'll track,
But also transferable skills, right? Like kind of nutrition skills or sprint skills, for example, they can be applied in so many different sports.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of that. But also, so the app that is there already, we're building in our own program, but also we've got close to 600 videos, which we've filmed, which are getting inputted like almost on a daily basis now into the app, which are really to showcase to those that are using the app how the demonstration of that relevant exercise, the respective exercise, and an explanation about it. So how can this actually be done and what's the benefit to it? So there's so much resources that you get as a result of joining the Sikh Games. As well, in addition to obviously coming together and playing your sport and competing, you actually get the educational side behind it. And that was the other Nav that you were talking about. That was his.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got Nav, the football scientist.
Yeah.
We've got Sandeep, the strength and conditioning coach. Liam, sprinting coach. Juggy is a nutrition coach, and powerlifting coach who will be announced shortly. And the way that the athletes will be tracking their process will be via the app and through the plans that are provided.
Yeah.
And the plans will also come with video demonstrations of how to do each exercise if they are unsure how to follow the program completely. Which, again, when I was a kid, if this came about, I'd be jumping at it. Do you know what I mean? Because as I say, when I went to the St George's Park camp in the summer, and respectively seeing most of the coaches literally in their element, and you know, teaching the teams that attended, then you pick up so many gems. I went and spent a bit of time with Sandeep when he was going through some of the strength and conditioning exercises. And there's new stretches that I've implemented today, and I've been going to the gym for 10 years. So I was like, okay, I took part in in that sort of stretching routine, and some really, really good tips. And Liam as well, with the sprinting coach, he had a full setup, and then testing your sprints at the end with obviously the high tech equipment and things as well. Like, again, if I was a kid, it would be like you're like in a playground, really.
You can still jump at it now. you know, the SikhGames.com, you can sign up.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
Yeah,
I probably should, to be fair. Now that I've said it, and there
yeah,
is also going to be support in terms of local Gurdwara support up and down the UK, right? So obviously, as you say in the roadshow that you have been
yeah,
doing, and there's also like a network of Gurdwaras that you're working with individually, because as we know, like you can't be in every share basically from in the UK from now
yeah,
until Birmingham to
yeah,
offer that individual support. So yes, you
yeah.
will have the app, but you also have your local Gurdwara that you can liaise with. If that is that how it
Yeah.
works?
So essentially the idea is using the facilities that we have of the gurukars, and also encouraging the gurukars to get involved with sport where they don't already. So traditionally, you know, in India, you used to have the gurukars, which were providing so many educational, like sports facilities. So it's trying to see like how do we bring all of that element back, right? So our gurus, like Guru Gobind Singh Ji, you know, everyone used to get trained, and like even at Anandpur side, used to see that. But the model is actually a regional model. So the idea is how do we bring all of the UK together? So what we've gone and done is divided the whole UK into 35 areas where you've got pockets of Sikh communities. Of those 35, about 25 are really large pockets. And we've actually spent a lot of time analysing the 2011 census and now cross-checking it with the 2021 census as well to make sure that we're dividing it up accurately. So it's not like London against Bristol, for example. Like even London's been divided into loads of sections. So you've got Hounslow as a separate team, Southall as a separate team, Hillingdon, and then you've got South London, South East, East, North, and Central together. So, and the same with other places like Birmingham, for example, as well. So the idea is just going to give the example of Southall, which is where I've grown up. So you've got, let's say, 10 large gurdwaras, and you've got, you know, all your sign up, and then you say, right, okay, one of the gurdwara, you look after the men's football team. One of the gurdwara look after the women's football team. Gurdwara 3 look after the children's cricket team. Gurdwara 4, you look after the men's hockey team. Gurdwara 3, you look after the women's powerlifting. So the idea is that no one gurdwara, so all that region that's going to come is going to come as one color. Mm-hmm. The idea is so no one gurdwara feels the burden of bringing all these, let's say, teams in. But most importantly, so that no gurukar feels left out. Every single gurukar and every single Sikh should feel like they've got a part to play in their Sikh Games because they are their Sikh Games. And it's also, you know, like in the long run, trying to encourage them to say, right, okay, if one's, let's say, open a boxing club, the other one doesn't have to open a boxing club. Why don't you provide the community something else? So actually, you think about it as you've got your hub of Sangat, you want to try and provide them in their local area, provide them with a variety of sports. So essentially what we're doing is encouraging the infrastructure development of like sporting for Sikhs around the UK.
Yeah, I'm going to make a joke and this probably won't be included, but surely there'll be a bit more for men's football, no? Surely the Gurdwara's going to be giving backhanders out for men's football and men's cricket. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because what happens is something that we've actually taken from the Australian Sikh Games, because we've been speaking to them when we first started, you know, and the secretary there is like, he's been so helpful, and he was kind of like saying to us, he was like, everyone's going to want to take the men's football teams and the men's teams. So what you do is you charge them more to submit the men's team. So we're charging £200 for the men's team, 150 for the women's team, and £100 for the kids team, to encourage them to say, well, actually, why don't we take the responsibility of the women's football team? Why don't we take responsibility of the kids team? Because what we've seen is the sign up with men, you don't have to convince them, they just sign up. With the women, that's where you have to really convince them, you know. So it's really, what can we do to understand our community, see what's been happening in the other countries like Australia, and try and build it into the UK Sikh Games. And obviously it's a learning phase, you know. So we often say this, like with the Sikh Games, we're not saying we know it all, we're saying these are your first Sikh Games. What we're here to do is understand what the community want. So tell us what it is, you know, what it is that works, and year on year it's only going to develop, right? But it's being open to that communication with the Sikh Games, and, you know, getting involved and trying to build them how you want them to be, reflective of what the UK Sikh community want.
100%. And sort of we're touching upon it there is, if you aren't an athlete or are unable to compete for whatever reason, how else can you be involved? Because as we're seeing, we're having it as all Sikhs want to be involved in this and sort of push the Sikh Games, but some people may not be athletically inclined, or might want to help but in a different way. So is there a way for other people to get involved who might not want to compete?
Absolutely. We've got so when you go on our homepage, we've actually got signups for volunteers and coaches as well. So if someone wants to sign up as a coach, if somebody has been coaching their kids for, let's say, 6 years, they've been coaching them football or cricket or hockey, they can obviously come up and help their regions. The same goes for volunteers, and same goes for if someone wants to sponsor the Sikh Games, they can all go on the website. We've got a GoFundMe page as well for sponsors. So there's loads of ways that you can be associated with the Sikh Games.
Yeah, absolutely. And also new coaches. So if, let's say, you want to become a coach, sign up to the Sikh Games and just tell us that you want to become a coach. I mean, obviously, what we have to ascertain is, like, if when the sign up closes, we have to start getting that training started. And so we will try and look for as many like existing coaches as possible. So if you're an existing coach, please sign up, because we really do need you to like help out. But even if somebody wants to become a coach, now that you've got, the Sikh Games there, there's so many organizations that we're working with that actually want to, particularly for the women, that they want to actually provide them with the coach training. So just get involved and let's see what we can do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also referees and umpires.
Yeah.
Referees and umpires as well. Yeah, so overall volunteers and a lot of coaches. And obviously the volunteers will be at the Sikh Games in Birmingham, will be provided obviously the same facilities that everybody else will be, and obviously get to be a part of a magnificent event as well. As we've obviously touched on the website and things, and the GoFundMe link, as I say, they will be provided in the link in the description, along with all the social media platforms which regularly are posting updates on everything regarding the Sikh Games. Instagram is my preferred choice, but there are other platforms as well, which you can follow along on. What has been the feedback so far from not just the communities, but also for example, the kids that came to the camp, some of the parents? What's the overall sort of overarching feedback been so far?
It's been really, really positive. We've been in calls where people have been in tears. They've said to us, this is something that our children have been asking us, that, when are you going to start doing something in Gurdwara, for example?
I think we had a mum who traveled with a son from Southampton all the way to St. George's Park. Wow. And she was absolutely stunned looking at the facilities at St. George's, and I think it'll be a great platform for our future generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been so nice, because even if you think about like this journey, like our vision is Har Maidan Fateh, success in every field. It's not just about developing those that are competing, but also the skill set within the community. So like, for example, within our like our regional leads, so all those areas that we've got regional leads in as well. In most of them now, we've got 2 regional leads, so we've got a male and a female. But with them, we're going on like media training courses, we're going on, public speaking coaching. There's so many things out there to develop, that skill set. But just people coming together, like the camp was so tiring. Mm-hmm. There was so much prep that we did in advance of the camp, and for me, it was something like 3.5 hours away. But the whole journey, like driving back, I was just like, that was so much fun. I can't even imagine what it would have been like for the athletes, because all of us guys, we just had so much fun, because, everybody's together. And when we do our call, like our regional leads call every week on a Tuesday, and we all come together, and, you're almost like a family, and, you're sharing with each other. They're so competitive with one another, but at the same time, they're sharing so much with one another. And it just feels like, how has this one project literally brought together somebody that sits in Yorkshire to somebody that sits in Southampton, and now they're like literally like talking to each other on a weekly basis. And we've become friends because we always constantly, everyone's updating to say what's happening in our region, what's happening in our region. So it's just so nice, to have that. And imagine doing that on that kind of scale where athletes are feeling the same way, right? Like this community is for the first time in history coming together in one location. Because when you think about programs, so like when you've got Pasaki, for example, everybody's going to celebrate it in the local gurdwara. When you've got any Sikh event that we do, everybody celebrates it in their local area. Even when you have like large samagams, even them, they'll still be like kind of like those couple of regions might come together. But we've never ever done something which brings everyone together. So it's so exciting, but yeah, just lots of, happy faces, smiles, and a lot of competitiveness that comes out.
Which is what we like to
Sikh
see.
Games.
I guess it is like, it's reflective of Sikh itself, is it's like Sangat coming together, right? And like you say, like back in the day, we do come from a sort of culture and religion that does emphasize the sort of athletic abilities in Gatka and things like kabaddi and things like wrestling. And overall, like we obviously did have warriors back in the day, and they were all more athletically inclined. Obviously we don't have to like get in mud wrestling or anything at the moment, but you can still show off the athleticism and be proud of the background that we come from. As I say, from a lot of the sporting guests that I've had on so far, I think there's one overarching stereotype of, oh well, you're Asian or you're South Asian or you're Punjabi, like you shouldn't be in sports. Well, no, that shouldn't be the case anymore, because we've got athletes at the highest level or getting there. And then this will obviously produce a bunch more, and from a younger age and throughout all age categories. Like, I remember my mum used to play kabaddi back in India, and then moved over here and just be like, oh well, not anymore. I don't think I'll get her to sign up. She's had a couple of knee operations since, like, so she might not be too game to be doing a raid anytime soon. But like back in the day, she was obviously very athletically inclined, and you lose touch of that because of, well, life gets in the way. But as I say, this is going to be a massive opportunity for a lot of people to get back into sport or develop their sport even further, and with top class resources. So credit to you both. There is a couple of ambassadors as well, not just coaches, who are sort of back in the Sikh Games. I don't know if we want to touch on a couple of them.
Credit firstly to our team and to the Almighty for bringing everyone together. Honestly, it's just been such an amazing journey. I don't even think when me and Nav spoke and we were throwing numbers out there about the Global Sikh Games, I don't even think we would have thought that we'd have like over 400 people in the team like this quick. It's been amazing, and it's literally a credit to the team. The amount of work that everyone puts in is incredible, and everybody does it at Seva. But yeah, our ambassadors. So hopefully, yeah, we'll just we'll kind of both contribute to this one.
We've got a few. We've got more than a couple.
Yeah, we've got more than a couple. Yeah, we should have had a list here, isn't it? So we've got Monty Panissa, Ravi Bopara, Amar Virdi. That's the cricket side. We've got Karanjit Baines as a powerlifter. We've got Sheru Angrish, Sheru Classic, as one of our ambassadors. We've got Jiti Kunar, Mangamita Puria, Mandir Kunar, who very recently played at the Commonwealth Games. And Nav, I'll let you say a couple now.
We've got I remember we got Mal Banning for football as well. We're also looking at one or two other guys who can come on board. Sarpreet Butta is another one. He was a Kiwi footballer who played for Bayern Munich. So we're looking. It was the first Sikh guy to play in Bundesliga, so he'll probably come on as well. Then we've got Karanjit Kaur Baines for powerlifting. And who else we got?
Kira
Raj
Rai,
Hundal.
Sandeep Tag.
Raj Hundal.
Oh, Raj Hundal. Raj was actually one of our first ambassadors.
Come on, man. You're forgetting your OGs. Come on, man.
Yeah, we can't forget our OGs. Raj is amazing. So We've got Raj Handal, Kira Rai, Sandeep Tak,
Dylan
um,
Chima.
Dylan Chima, yes.
We've got Dylan Chima.
Um,
from boxing. Great guy.
yeah, Tony Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like honestly Mira Singh, Desi, who is our superstar. He gets everybody signed up to the Sikh Games. And then we've got someone actually that has played wheelchair rugby and has represented Team GB and has won multiple gold and silver trophies. And his name is Mandeep Semi. I don't forget that name because we have the same name. But with some of our ambassadors, actually, they've been like kind of like helping out a lot as well. You know, obviously with all the work that we're doing for making sure that we've got equality, and we're thinking about the para sports as well. We've also got Bali Chima, and we've got Harleen Kaur, kickboxing. We've got the Purewal twins. Yeah, there's
a lot
of ambassadors.
there's
a lot of ambassadors, and it's so nice to see. It's not a bad problem to have at all. You know, and it's a case for us as an organization. You know, we need to really work with the existing talent so that they also feel like, you know, they've got a organization that kind of, I guess in a way, brings them together. But then at the same time, highlighting their stories. So actually we're working on kind of creating mini documentaries. So we've started a lot of the filming for that already. So yeah, we're working on those. But also to kind of like share their stories with the rest of the world, you know, to think about the challenges that they faced, but then most importantly, how did they overcome those challenges? Because there will be somebody that has had literally a very similar path, and that one, just listening to that one person's story will be making all the difference. So like when I was younger, I played a lot of sports. I went to a sports college. You know, played in the 5 days of the week. I played 6 sports. On a Wednesday, I doubled up just because I could. It was in the one sports hall. But you know, you see, like, why didn't I ever think to go professionally? Because I didn't have a single person I could look up to, not a single person whose journey I could, you know, follow. So I think now, you know, times have definitely changed. Not that being a lawyer is a bad thing. I feel like I can make a massive change, and you know, we're doing our seva through the Sikh Games with sport anyway. Yeah, there's a lot of running around to do with the Sikh Games, so we're good. We're still keeping fit.
That's it. As long as he can qualify as an athlete somehow. Can the ambassadors also compete? Because obviously, like you mentioned, a couple of the boxers there.
Yeah.
In terms of like Dylan and Tony. And if like England Boxing or backing or as a sports partner, and maybe you're introduced in future years, would that be an option for them to also compete in the Sikh Olympics or Sikh Games, or no?
So first year, where boxing is kind of like a demonstration sport. So with the first year, we're getting the ambassadors to really be there to showcase or share their journeys. But for future, I think it's going to be hard to keep them away. We keep saying to them, not for the first year, but then
I would probably say for the
will.
Sikh Olympics in 2030, I think them representing the country would be better, because they'll be for them to face opposition from another country will be something different.
Yeah, because it's a tough one, right? Because you do want to obviously promote the people who are coming in as athletes fresh into boxing, and then if like in the first round they're coming up against a professional boxer, it's probably not as fair. But in terms of competing against other countries, it would obviously make more sense. Unfortunately, as I say, like a lot of the ambassadors that you've named there, I think maybe 5, 6, 7 of them have been lucky enough to have on the podcast, and it is literally them stories of, you know, the obstacles that are in the way, and how did you overcome them? Because we all have them hindrances, especially from the background that we come from, and it's sort of why are you breaking the stereotype? How did you break the stereotype, and how did you excel in a specific sport? And a lot of them have had some incredible journeys, and hopefully I can speak to the rest of the ambassadors as well.
Nav, I think he's trying to say something. I think he's trying to say something. I think we might. Yeah, don't worry.
I'll send you a list and their phone numbers.
Perfect. Okay. Right. Well, I guess we can wrap up there then.
Hang on, Nav.
I think that's the problem
Yeah.
that you're saying. I think that's exactly what we found when we first spoke about the Sikh Games. We went away to do some to find some stats on each and every sport, and then I got cricket. And then when I was doing a bit of research. There are only 4% South Asians playing professional cricket, which is not a big number. Looking at that, cricket is a religion back in India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, and we've only got 16 professional players playing cricket in the UK. 4% is nothing, and when you talk about Sikhs, it's not even 1%. So I think this is something we got to change. After the first Sikh Games, obviously we are partnered up with ECB, NFA, and all the other professional bodies, and I think this is where we will be different from other Sikh Games, where we will want our future generations to play mainstream sports.
100%. And I imagine that it's going to be an annual thing. So obviously we were saying the first Sikh Olympics is going to be in 2030 and will be 4 years thereafter. Every year, every 4 years thereafter, should I say. But the Sikh Games in terms of the UK and other countries hopefully will be an annual event.
I think he's requesting again for us to do it every year now.
Hint.
We'll try.
Well, yeah.
It's a great opportunity to give hints, right?
Yeah.
I think at the moment we're thinking every 2 years. But we have been having a lot of conversations with people that are wanting. So we're going into Birmingham, but then we're already getting calls from other areas and other cities which want us to host in their country, in their area within the UK as well. So I think it all just depends on, let's get the first ones done, and then let's see how we get on, because it may be something where you do the Sikh Games and then in the 1 year you focus more on the educational side, and then again you do the Sikh Games. So we'll see.
No, most definitely.
But your request is noted.
Yeah, my request, along with everybody else's, hopefully will go a long way. And because it is a good time of year this summer as well, because most sports normally go along with the school year, right? Of like or season is September to May time. So I think most people can obviously take part in their sport, whichever they choose to, during that academic year or season, and then obviously hopefully show off their skills more so year upon year. And you might find somebody who is more of a grinder than a exceptional talent. You know, they might put in the hard work and discipline over 2 or 3 years to actually show. A 12-year-old to a 15-year-old could be a lot of development, for example. And
the grind makes a lot of difference, makes a huge difference, you know.
100%.
It's that discipline that comes out, you know, and that's the thing though, isn't it? When you see with sport, you know, sport gives you so many things. It gives you leadership skills, it gives you team building skills, it gives you focus, it gives you so many things. And you know, like everybody's had a different journey. When we talk to these ambassadors, everybody's had such a different journey to get to the point that they've got to. So it's definitely we're gonna definitely see a whole variety of, you know, backgrounds coming in, and a variety of different mindsets coming in as well.
100%. I can't wait. Is there anything else that I may have missed or we would like to touch upon?
Yeah, I think for me, I think I'm just going to touch on a bit of the demonstration sports that we all get to have as well when you come to the Sikh Games. So the Sikh Games aren't just going to be, you know, like the competition sports. There are going to be a lot of different sports that we're going to be showcasing, and also you're going to get an opportunity to compete in. So, you know, 6 disability Paralympic type sports will be happening at the first Sikh Games. That was something that was really important actually to us. Given that as a community, you know, like the only conversation that we have about disability is whether or not a wheelchair is allowed in a gurdwara or not, but never the person that sits inside the wheelchair. And what our responsibility is to empower them physically and mentally and just make them feel welcome. So that was like a huge focus to us, focus for us as a team. So, you know, as soon as you walk into the Sikh Games, you know, that'll be the first sport that gets showcased. And we've actually got some of our ambassadors that are working to contribute towards making that a reality and giving their suggestions and their favorite sports that we should be having in that. But also there's going to be loads of other things. So like you're going to be able to, you know, experience Gatka. So we, you know, partnered with the Gatka Federation. And, you know, one of the things that they said to us was, you know, we want every single Sikh in the UK to know how to play Gatka. whether or not they're playing other sports or not is fine. You know, we're not saying just, you know, be only playing Gattaca, but, you know, you should learn. So, you know, from a 3-year-old to like 80, 90-year-old, you will have your hour slot where you can go and learn Gattaca. You'll have, you know, martial arts there. You know, you'll have Shastra Vidya, you'll have MMA, you'll have wrestling, you'll have boxing, you'll have squash, you'll have netball, you'll have esports. There's going to be like, you know, so squash, I don't know if that's squash, but, you know, there'll be so many different things that you'll get to see, cue sports, boxing. So there's going to be everything there for you to experience. A bit of yoga as well. So make sure you wear your trainers when you come to the Sikh Games.
Love judo as well.
Oh yeah, judo, yeah. So there's going to be so many different sports that you're going to get an opportunity to experience. So yeah, I think that will be the real kind of game changer, because often some of these sports that you're going to see, you don't have them at schools. People don't know if they've got a natural talent for them. But what we're trying to do is, with that whole timetabling, even focusing on to make sure that, you know, someone that's between like, you know, 30 to 40, they can go and try those different sports at different times. So, and also making time for making sure that they can actually go and support the athletes that are competing as well. So that's how the kind of like the timetable is going to be done, so that you get to experience this. And on the back of those, then encouraging people to say, well, actually, what is the sport you want to see at the next Sikh Games? Let's let the community decide what they want to see. You know, we've had so many people saying they play golf once a week. You know, they do swimming, or, you know, whatever it is you do, engage with the Sikh Games. They're as much your Sikh Games as they are ours. So just make them a success.
Yeah, and I think that sentiment's been echoed throughout the podcast so far. So if whoever is listening and wants to be involved and their sport hasn't been pushed so far, go on to the website, register the sport that you wish. If you know that you, for example, play that sport with a bunch of friends, and they all want to be involved, then maybe you've got a group chat on WhatsApp. Every uppiner has a group chat on WhatsApp nowadays, right? So get into that WhatsApp group chat, ping the link in, and say, let's register as athletes, or let's register our sport. And it might not be included this year, but it could be included next year. In terms of also sharing on WhatsApp group chats, if you aren't able to attend, or if you aren't able to be an athlete and not be able to be there in person, share it with others who might be able to go and might want to go. As I say, follow all the social media links, and just let's raise as much awareness of this as possible. With it being the first event, we want to beat our Australian brothers and sisters and have higher attendances than 100,000 hopefully one day.
Yeah.
So
they've got
150
to 200,000. Our Sikh population is 3 times the amount that we're definitely going to get everyone in. So
exactly,
you know, if they say, look, we can't attend, that option is like not on the table. You have to attend. You've got to be a part of, you know, we're making history. Be a part of that opening ceremony, and be a part of, you know, the UK's first ever Sikh Games. Even if you can attend one of those days, come and support, you know, be a part of it, you know, showcase, like, support your region. You know, particularly with the areas where you don't have a lot of Sikh community, you know, they're going to need people to like make the noise for them when they're walking into the opening ceremony. So make sure you all come. Option
100%.
4 that Gurveer just said, that you can't attend, is not an option.
Apologies, but share regardless. So that we can get more people to Birmingham and get the numbers high and mighty. Yeah, again, I really appreciate your time as always. I know you're both very busy people, and what you're doing is phenomenal, and I can't wait to August to attend. Right?
No, thank you, Gurveer. Thank you for like having us and supporting the Sikh Games, you know, from the very beginning to now. You know, we really appreciate it.
It's been an honor. Honestly, I remember like a couple of years ago, I think it was when I had Nav on. You had a little hint of it back then, and then when I had the podcast with yourself, I think after we finished recording is when you were like, right, this is the plan. I was like, oh, I got really excited. I was like, what wicked. Yeah. And then, as I say, going to St. George's Park was an unbelievable experience to obviously witness the day, and similar to yourselves, you go back, and I was driving on the way back home. I was just on the phone to, you know, friends and family, and be like, you're never going to believe what just happened. Like this is special. Because you feel elated, you feel like obviously like you've just witnessed something amazing. And yeah, I've got faith that it's just going to get bigger and better, and this is exactly what we need for the community. And from all the stories that you've said, from all the ambassadors and from the people in the Sangat, it sounds like my sentiments are not the only one. I think it's echoed from most people. But as I say, it is all the links and things will be in the description. Dates and things as well will be on the website, for the GoFundMe, for the website to register or to volunteer, and then the social medias as well. And Mandeep Banava, I thank you again for your time and for everything that you're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.